What was the weirdest, most inappropriate or most unexpected thing you were asked during a job interview? This was quite a while ago, and I was interviewing for a janitorial position at a private middle school. The interview was going well. The interviewer was asking me why I wanted to work there, what my previous job experience was, etc. The bog standard interview questions. Out of absolutely nowhere, he asks, "You're not attracted to underage girls, are you?" I was taken aback for a moment and just sort of stared at him waiting for clarification. I think it only occurred to him after having said it how weird the question was, and he quickly started to give some context. Turns out the previous janitor had attempted some sexual advances on some underage students. I was just there to sweep the floors for some cash, not commit a felony. First question of an interview. Wait, aren't you the guy who owes me that $1,000? Realized after 3 of the longest seconds in my life that he was joking, but boy that caught me off guard. Does lie detector during the hiring process count? I was asked if I'd ever had sex with animals. That question certainly caught me off guard. I had a guy end my interview by asking me what my favorite ABBA song was. I was so caught off guard and honestly kind of creeped out because I couldn't figure out how he knew that I loved ABBA. I found out later that when he spoke to my references, he asked them to tell him something about me that wasn't on my resume, and my old boss told him that I was a huge ABBA fan. Would I be okay with going shirtless? Small private casino company that mostly did charity fake money events with prizes like champagne and chocolates, corporate gigs, etc. I was hired as a blackjack croupier and that's the job I went for, advertised as above. Corporate events and charity events, dealing blackjack. Must be good with people. If you knew me, that would make your gut bust. The woman interviewing me gave me the job, then asked would I be willing to wear just collars and cuffs like a male stripper. Turns out they also did stag and hen nights and would ask new employees if they'd like to be considered for those shifts. But it requires the women to wear bikinis and men to wear only collars and cuffs, no shirt but wearing dress pants. They paid twice the rate for it. Was not expecting that question, I can be honest. What are the chances of you leaving your spouse if we relocate you? You mean for a period of time until we figure out our living situation? No, I mean would you divorce him if you had to move to, say, Europe for the job? Wow. Also, this was a local advertising agency. They didn't even have that many national clients. But also, the interviewer then continuously called and messaged me 4 days after I declined their offer. So I don't know. What kind of pronoun do you like? I was in the process of getting a government job that required a high security clearance. I was being interviewed by an agent. Most of the questions were pretty basic, but this one caught me out of left field. Which teacher did you hate the most, and why? I answered that I had disagreed with a teacher over a book. I didn't like it, and it was her favorite, and she knocked points off all my future tests. Interviewer said it was unprofessional to not like a teacher, and I clearly had no interview experience. So yeah, didn't get that internship. I had an adversarial interview once. Passed the skills interview and was sent on to the guy who would be my manager if I got the job. He made a big show of throwing my resume in the trash and told me the next best use would be to wipe his ass with it since he went to Yale and I didn't, and why did I think I deserved the job? I didn't say anything, just got up and walked out. This was at AIG, remember them? Lol. Interviewer, do you know how to swim? Me, no. Interviewer, get out. I was a private nanny. I have been asked many questions that wouldn't be considered appropriate in any other job interview. I've been asked how often I shower, whether I have ever been to a therapist/psychiatrist, if I'm promiscuous, if I have ever had an affair with an employer, how much I typically eat in a day, do I have a partner, what religion I am, whether I was gay or straight, if I had ever been bribed or had anyone ever attempt to bribe me, whether I had ever taken nude pictures, etc. not all in the same interview. He asked me if I believed in Bigfoot. That was the weirdest and yet least alarming thing discussed at my interview. Can you make your breasts smaller? They might be a distraction for some of our patients here. This was at a hospital, and I wasn't wearing anything provocative. I just have big boobs. I didn't get the job. They told me it was because I was too inexperienced. As a man being asked about a spouse. Do you have a wife? No. Well, gay marriage is legal in this state. I assume you don't have a husband? No. A while back I got out of the Navy. That old saying is true, swear like a sailor. I applied for a program called Helmets to Hard Hats that finds jobs in skilled labor trades for veterans. My father is good friends with a guy who is in charge of the local branch of an elevator company. So I applied to the International Union of Elevator Constructors and was granted an interview. Union interviews, as I'm told, usually consist of several prominent members of the union. In this case it included my father's friend. So I show up to the interview and sit down with 5 high-ranking union members. My name is Richard. My dad's friend says, "So Richard, what do you like to go by? Rick, Ricky, Richard, Dick?" Before I could stop myself I sarcastically replied, "It's Cock actually." I pretended like everything was normal and the interview continued after an awkward pause. I did get the job and was admitted as an apprentice. Everyone still calls me Cock. TLDR, guy asked me, "Richard, if I go by Dick?" I sarcastically replied Cock, and now everyone calls me Cock. I was the interviewer and asked the candidate to tell me about a time that they had to have a difficult conversation with someone. His answer? Well, my friend's boyfriend was abusing her, so I told him that I would kick his ass if he didn't stop. He didn't stop, so I had to follow through and beat him up. It was hard, but I had to follow through on my commitment to helping my friend. He did not get hired for the job working with children. I was interviewing for a hiring manager position at a temp agency in Toledo, Ohio. The interviewer asked me, how comfortable would I be if business client only wanted to hire certain types of employees? I probed for more information. After several probing questions it was apparent that some of the businesses who hired this agency to find talent only wanted people from certain zip codes and wanted to omit certain zip codes altogether. I did not get the job because I stated that I would find and deliver the most qualified candidate regardless of where they lived. No biggie. I'm in a much better place now. I was in an interview for a college scholarship, not a job. I'm black and was being interviewed by a panel of 4 white interviewers and 1 black interviewer. One of the white interviewers asked me how was growing up with both parents, the black interviewer, and I immediately locked eyes and he gave me a knowing look. I don't remember how I answered, but I got the scholarship. I was asked if I'd ever sent identifiable nudes in a job interview. They asked me if I could stop my dialysis treatments so I can be more available. Yeah, Karen, let me just die for less than $15 an hour. Don't forget to consider the idea to maybe think about potentially subscribing. Peace.